If you're a rogue player, this is going to be a video that you're going to want to see on Spright. Some big 30% of you that have not cracked open a nice Spright for this video, smash the crap out of that subscribe button and get yourself a Spright to come enjoy some interesting playtesting here. So TMS 340 over here sent me this and said, Robbie, here's some replay playtesting for you. I was like, sure, I'll take a peek. You don't really see too crazy of this stuff, but this man is very infamous for his zombie strategies here. And we are playing against Spright. Now, Spright opened up how many hand traps? A lot of hand traps. I mean, like, this is actually genuinely crazy how much we open. So we're gonna go ahead and fire terraforming here. We're gonna get Ash. We're gonna go ahead and foolish into the zombie world here. All right, no reason to do our thing here. We're gonna go ahead and Goizuki and go ahead and send a zombie from your deck to the graveyard. And if this card is sent, blah blah blah. Anyway, we drop this, and then we get to do good old Boulder Cock here. And now, before you're like, he could have probably DD Crow'd the Necroworld Banshee and then stop this, but it's a quick effect anyway, so it's leaping out anyway. All right, and then as soon as Boulder Bloom here hits, it's going to go ahead and do its thing. So yeah, lots of things here. So that should explain why we didn't go down that route. We're going to go ahead and set Imperm, set Rivalry. I wish I could be this good. I wish I could open up Rivalry Zombie World every single time I play this deck. All right, we're going to go ahead and pass on over to our opponent. They drew the Swap Frog, probably the best card that they could have hoped to have gotten to, because with the Spright starter and that, yeah, they're pretty good to go here. But they don't know that we got this back here. All right, we're going to go ahead and flip Rivalry. They're going to go ahead and do their thing. We're going to go ahead and Boulder Drock it straight off of the field. Oh boy. Well, we've done our job now. We've outed it. I'm going Spright starter out of friend. We're going to go ahead and imperm it so that our dear friend here does not get any advantage. Well, no smashers for you, friend. Alright, so we just scoop it up there. You don't really blame them for that, right? So we're going to go ahead and phase on into the next round here of playtesting. Like I said, what it's like to open up really good. Normal summon Swap Frog. We opened up Veiler Ash. Is this enough? We're going to go ahead and Veiler. They're going to set their field. We actually top the Change of Heart, and then we normal the Necroworld Banshee. Man, I'm actually physically ill. 2,800. Now, you can argue this Change of Heart was pretty bad. Sure, Necroworld Banshee on into the zombie world. Go ahead and set. We hand the frog back to our opponent. We got the Super Poly loaded up back here. I mean, like, what are we afraid of? Like, what kind of sort of craziness can you possibly do to play around a Super Poly? I mean, these aren't going to do anything back here. We're going to go ahead and special summon Spright Jet here to make an attempt to get something. We're going to go ahead and Ash that, and then we're going to Super Poly off, and we're going to get to make Mr. Dragon Necrosoul here. I mean, once again, what value are we getting back here off of these? Boulder Drock gets to come back, because that's just how this deck works, man. Like, every standby phase, you get this walking, talking fatty back, and your opponent's just like, I don't know what to do about this. So go ahead and take some more damage, go ahead and set that, and our opponent ends up conceding. I'm almost wondering, as of, talking in this video, that you want the deck to have a lot of hand traps, right? Like, the thing is, we don't have max C, and from what I'm seeing just in these two videos here, too many hand traps and not enough, starters to get the deck going definitely is something else. All right, so we're going to go ahead and push on into our next round here. It's a straight clean 2-0, by the way. Like, will this deck get to do something? Oh, we opened up Ash Veiler again. How good do you have to be? I see our opponent also opened up Ash Veiler here. Now, once again, if you're a Spright player watching this video, maybe this should be a note to you as well. Like, I'm seeing the same thing here. Like, it's looking like too many starters and, not enough gas to keep extending, going go, 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 go all across the field. Seems to be a consistent issue here. But I do see Prosperity, so maybe this Prosperity will fix this hand. I'll go ahead and do 3. Oh, we got a Spright Carrot. Okay, that's really good. Go ahead and carrot on into this. We're going to go ahead and Veiler there. That's fine. I mean, that does cut him off. We can still get into Gigantic. All right, so here comes Gigantic to do its job. Go ahead and detach, and then we're going to get ashed. I don't know what you want me to tell you, man. Like, you can only... In the wise words of the entire Yu-Gi-Oh community on the internet, just Ash the Gigantic Spright 5-head, and you should have a good time. Yeah, this looks like a very good solid choke point, because we're forced onto hand traps here. Like, huh. Foolish into the neck world. Go ahead and 1 for 1, we're going to get ashed. But luckily for us, we have good old reliable normal summon Goizuki into the Veiler. Well, you know what? That's fine. Goizuki gets to attack over this and doesn't really care. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. That's all she wrote there, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I just want to put this out here, but like, this was actually a good, decent round of testing here, because you get the chance to see how much hand trap application actually matters in the pseudo upcoming format here. I think it's a good thing to kind of, when you can take a step back here and look at a format like this and go, oh, you know, like, one, hand traps are going to be probably the best darn thing out there. I mean, cutting off the choke point, Mr. Gigantic Spright here, was obviously like the go-to thing for this game. Like, you saw it. Like, even like, if you can, I guess, waste some hand traps on the little grunt minions, like, you know, Blue and, you know, some of the other stuff before they can establish the Omni Negates. Now, there will be times where your opponent will just open up nuts. Alright, like, they'll have like 4 or 5 extenders, but like, if they're putting their entire field out there, then you gotta kind of wonder, is it, I mean, can you just break through it? Because like, one Dark Ruler No More ruined this entire scenario 95% of the time. I mean, yeah, like a Gigantic Spright establishing up, but like, they have to usually get to a Smashers to back up their best board. Like, if you do see a Dark Ruler No More and they do have a Smasher in the back, that's really rough. But also, like, on the semi flip side of things here, even if they like don't have a Smasher and they have like an Imperm or Droplet, I guess in the scenario I'm trying to say here is they have to open up enough gas to be able to combo through and do things. And once this deck kind of starts to develop here, as the upcoming formats, you know, shift through, you probably will see maybe this deck will play way less hand traps, you know. For the 4th time here, you've already seen like how much damage too many hand traps can do to a deck like this. You know, in the OCG, I think they saw what? I didn't see any Deep Sea Divas in this particular build when we were analyzing this game. So the OCG did a lot of Divas. Maybe Anglers might end up being, you know, one of the earlier packages that we see in this particular format. I think that would actually be very interesting to see if Angler might possibly be one of the highlights here. You know, Swap Frog and Friends definitely was one of the more go-to things in the very early stages. I think it still is the go-to in the OCG because, you know, siphoning through those level 2s, I guess it just really depends on, you know, what the best packages will be. And then, of course, don't forget about the Scythe Lock, baby. Having, you know, the ability to access Dagda to bring out a Scythe. Yeah, Gigantic locks you into, you know, level 2, rank 2, on your turn, not during your opponent's turn. Alright, that's why the deck is really good, because it stops you from getting Nibiru. But that's not where our problem lies. The problem here is this deck still, you know, loses to how many hand traps at this point. You know, what's going to be the consistent ratio in terms of variables here? And if we go into a very heavy hand trap format, then this deck's going to have to rely on, you know, Called by the Grave, which is a one of. You know, this could turn into a deck where you're like, oh no, like, we have to access cross-out designators in order to capitalize on the better value. Now, we saw Despia do that last format, where it just straight came out of the woodwork and was like, you know, we're going to go ahead and croissant designator every little thing that might actually be a threat to us, which led to some very heavy, you know, very weird Despia decks, sure, but it's going to be the same thing here. If this deck is as fragile as it's looking here, then you're going to have to access croissant designator to ensure for the best. But I don't know, man. If Spright ends up failing here, I mean, at least the deck cores are only like $265. You can't be too mad having, you know, a decent 1.5 deck. Look where Despia ended up after after the wrap up of the format here, where this deck was obviously clearly good, but it still struggled at the end of the day to kind of maintain and keep up with a lot of the big power shifts in the format. But people will still ignorantly argue all the way to the end of the day that the deck was somehow still absolutely tier 0.5. Crazy to me, man. Like, the mighty fallen people still going, no, it's absolutely the best deck, Robbie. It's crazy to me. You guys have a good rest of your day, alright? Peace out, guys. Patrons, thank you. Ugh.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.